It isn't just a food shortage. It isn't just a toy shortage. It isn't just a plastic shortage. It is an energy shortage as well. Things are getting ugly. We're seeing the ripples rippling out into more and more countries now. And for those of us in the United States and those of us in other countries that haven't yet been affected by the energy crisis, we're seeing these ripples moving through the water, and everything is connected today. So when you see record high liquid natural gas prices in China, in the UK, and that's hitting really hard in Europe as well. It's safe. It sometimes feels safe to be somewhere else, right? But we're seeing these ripples continue further. Brazil is one of the next that have just been hit. They're very heavily dependent upon hydroelectric power, and they've had a lot of drought this past year. We've been talking about their crops going offline because of the drought and because of the freeze, the late season freeze they had this year. But what we're seeing here is that because of the rainfall being so low, their hydroelectric plants are running dry. They are producing 17%, not 17% less. They're producing 17% of the power from those plants that they usually do. And this is a significant portion of their energy grid. So they are struggling to import enough power, and they are trying to get their hands on more coal and more natural gas. Yes, just like everybody else. So things are getting rough in Brazil. They're looking at the possibility of having to offload energy-intensive industries off their grid, which is what we're seeing around the world. When energy crunches really happen, one of the first things that they need to do is they need to start taking high-demand electrical industries offline. Mining, ore processing. When you have electric arc furnaces that are melting things down, that uses up a tremendous amount of power. We're not talking about somebody running too many LED bulbs in their house. We're talking about furnaces that consume kilowatt hours per second kind of power. This is just outrageous amounts of power, which is what our society is built on. Another place that's been hit just recently is India. India is running out of coal. And so they're talking the same thing. They're talking about taking their energy intensive industries off their grid. These are the kind of industries that keep up our entire society. They're the melting of ores, the chemical plants, the plants that produce so many of these things that we need. When you have factories, you need those raw materials coming from these furnaces. You need the steel to keep flowing. Places like India, they melt down a lot of recycled steel. They break up ships, and then they melt down the steel and use it as recycled metal and such like that. But it's cheap metal that's used for a lot of things. All these kind of industries are very, very vital to the entire global economy. Also, we're seeing that natural gas prices in Brazil have hit their all-time high. They've been importing. They imported more natural gas in September than they have in any month in history. You just have this across the board. You have countries importing lots and lots of natural gas. China has a lot of their hydroelectric power plants offline as well, because it rained really heavy in certain portions and it didn't rain at all in others. And so we're seeing that kind of stuff. We're not getting reports about what their crop harvests look like because they've just shut down all the news reporting. And then there's China harassing Taiwan. Every day they're flying more and more fighters and bombers around Taiwan, forcing Taiwan to scramble their fighter jets every single day, sometimes multiple times every day. Modern day fighters, they require a lot of maintenance. So just getting them to scramble, get up in the air, and then come down means that more and more maintenance needs to be done. After so many hours of flight, certain parts need to be replaced. Basically, you could almost see that maybe China is actually just trying to wear down the Taiwanese Air Force. So that's another concern. That's just another problem brewing out there. And Xi Jinping, he needs to get people to stop thinking about the Evergrande, right? That is a problem that has not gone away. The default there is going to get worse before it gets better. And not only that, but it is, that was the apartment building giant in China, one of them, but it's the one that's gone down, and it is continuing to collapse and fall as it defaults on more and more of its loans. And it looks like it's not even going to be able to cover all of the domestic loans that it has. So the question is this going to be a massive bailout from the Chinese government? If not, it's going to cause some really serious problems, even in China. And we have yet to see all the damage it's going to do worldwide to worldwide banks. But for China, the housing market in China cannot collapse. That is a red line. They cannot let it happen. If it happens, it will bring down their entire economy. And if it brings down their economy, it will bring down the economy of the world. As China goes nowadays, so the rest of the world goes. So we're not looking at a food shortage, just a food shortage. Yes, there is a food shortage. But we're also looking at a massive energy problem. We're running out of coal and natural gas worldwide. There's still places where there is plenty of it. I'm in Western Pennsylvania, so stinks to be you guys, but we have plenty of natural gas. We always will have plenty of natural gas here. We can just go stick a pipe in the ground over there, and we'll have natural gas, right? But getting the natural gas from places like here to other places, that's a huge problem. Pipelines, which are not being allowed to be built anymore, but and there's a shortage of liquid natural gas ships to carry all that natural gas. There just isn't enough of them to move that across. The natural gas pipeline from Russia to Europe just went online. Nord Stream 2, I believe, just came online. Well, it's not online yet, but they're pressurizing the line, which is close to being online. So that may ease a lot of problems in Europe. But if that drains the reserves of Russia, I don't know how deep their pockets are with natural gas. Pretty deep, probably, but that's not going to help Brazil out, at least in the short term. So we have a serious energy crisis happening in addition to the food shortage. And then we have some geopolitical issues that are very, very serious. China with Taiwan, and with some of the things that are happening in China with their food shortage there, which is much worse than other places, and they're being forced to import all this food. On top of that, they have their housing crisis. They have an economic crisis with the collapse of one of their major banks. And it's just, there's a lot of pressure on them to distract from that by possibly doing something that could be radical. Looking into my crystal ball, which you all know I don't have one, right? But looking into my imaginary crystal ball, I'm going to make a prediction here. I think that China's going to try to pull a false flag against Taiwan, somehow egg Taiwan into attacking them, or shooting down one of their jets, or possibly shooting down one of their own jets and then blaming it on Taiwan. That's my crystal ball here. China, I don't think will just do an overt attack on Taiwan. I think it's going to try to, they need some kind of cover. they need to get Taiwan to be the aggressor in this. And if they can do that, then I think that they can quickly ramp up and either punish Taiwan severely or possibly take Taiwan. We're getting late in the year. I can't remember offhand whether the window for potential seaborne invasion on Taiwan is closed for the year. I believe it closes sometime here in October, possibly as late as November. But then during the winter months, landings are just not possible until late spring. So every year for a window, it's just not possible for them to do any kind of invasion. So I'm not sure if they have enough time to do that just this year. But of course, we have the Olympics coming up next year, which are being hosted in China. So I have thought that they will probably wait until after the Olympics to try anything with Taiwan. But my crystal ball, which is imaginary, is not foolproof by any means. All right, so those are some of my thoughts. We're not just looking at a food shortage. We're looking at some serious other issues. Make sure you have a heating plan for your home. Even if it's usually warm where you are, if it sometimes gets cold, it could get cold this winter and probably at the worst possible time. So make sure you're stocked up on food, water, have a heating plan and resources to do that. Make sure you're not, starting fires in your house, okay? And if you even think remotely like that, lots and lots of fire extinguishers, okay? All right. Steve Poplar, see you later.